Welcome to another episode of Let's Be Real. And on this series, we're talking about healing in a way that you can shift how you're thinking about it so that you allow it to be more comfortable than the things that you're trying to heal. And I talked about this a bit in yesterday's broadcast, where we take our conditioning, the subtler, deeper levels of it, and use it in our process or attempts to remove conditioning. And some of the deeper, more pain in the ass conditioned beliefs are that we have to do it, the concept of concepts of time, limited possibility, etc. And so we take the tools we used in the first paradigm to try to, or given in the first paradigm to try to dismantle it, and then it just kind of like goes on and on and on and on. It's a song that never ends. You're trying to get to a place that you think is later, and that is the first paradigm, where there is something that's not you. And so in today's broadcast, I'm intending to present some perspectives that will allow for you to realize the love you chasing and seeking's on the inside. You already got it, and we'll do this through kind of pointing out the absurdity of the not this. Good morning. So, I've been working with this marketing mentor, and for it, I created a breakout of the clients I've served the most and looked for patterns, and what they hired me for, what did they leave with, etc. Hi! And peace was one of it, and tools. And the woman was like, well, what is it that are people asking for peace? Generally they're not. You're not really shopping for peace. You're shopping for a solution to a problem that you think you have, that you think is causing the loss of peace. And what is peace? Well, peace is, to me, an experience of acceptance or oneness with what is, externally or internally. So externally, that's peace is saying like, that's okay, that's how you are, that's how this was. Peace on about your inner experience is like, fuck, I'm sad today. You accept that you're sad. You accept that happened. Peace to me is not having, omnivorous control over stuff where it's like, oh, the conditions are perfect again. Here's my peace for today. It is accepting of the ride. And the earlier you can come to accept the volatility, the craziness of your personal ride, it seems the faster it kind of comes to like less spiky. And yet what I was saying, my prelude to this, if that's the right word, I was saying like we use the tools we got in conditioning to dismantle conditioning. And one of those tools is like the idea of the self, the idea of fighting, the idea of control, the idea of like you can't chill the fuck out and let it be done for you. And so, with the last time I got the dog and he was in this state, I don't know if anyone remembers, but he was pretty active with his blue duck dead center. So I'm going to hold on going and getting him right now. Okay, anyhow. So the conditioning, it's like one of the ideas is that you, let me just catch my breath. How's everybody doing? Because I started running and then I started listening to the dog bark. Hey. Okay, so peace. And I was saying, so the earlier conditioning is like, I have to fix this if it's not correct. Like the conditions are what yields the inner experience. And so we think that acceptance is this passive like play. Acceptance is not passive at all. There is nothing passive about acceptance except that it makes more sense. You're going the direction of the current. Acceptance is never saying like, I'm gonna wait until the fire burns itself out and everything I've ever loved is gone. No, acceptance is saying, I accept that it's burning. I'll deal with the fire. Non-acceptance is saying the fire is wrong, and then you get so caught up in this, the fire is wrong, that you don't fucking tend to the fire, or you start other fires. So acceptance is a position. That is peace. Peace is saying like, there's a fire. You're not saying it's bad, you're not saying it's good, you're not saying anything about it. You are acting toward the fire. And there's a story, I probably said this to like every client I ever touched, and probably on every broadcast series at least once. You know, there's a farmer, he has a horse runs away. Farmer's neighbor says, that sucks. Farmer says, we'll see. Horse runs back to the farmer, brings wild horses with him. Now the farmer has a lot of horses. Neighbor says, oh buddy, that's lucky. Farmer says, we'll see. One of the wild horses injures the farmer's son. Neighbor says, that sucks. Farmer says, we'll see. There's a draft. The farmer's injured son doesn't go because he's injured. You know, neighbors. You know, so see what I'm saying? So it's like most the event in the story is neutral. It's always neutral because you don't have the whole context. You don't actually know if this is a good thing or a bad thing because the whole thing hasn't played out yet. And yet we get all caught up in the ideas of the thing rather than let the thing move. So acceptance to me is kind of what the farmer's saying, which is like, it is, period. And non-acceptance is blowing the story out around it. And peace, so that's kind of the tool I want to provide today, some peace tools, is recognizing that one piece, which is like, you don't really fucking know. And so if you want to get yourself all caught up about if the fire is bad, you can. But does that serve you? Maybe ultimately on the path to recognizing it doesn't. But, you know, peace is not saying like everything is in perfect balance and harmony, because it won't ever be. It won't ever be. Where you have the balance and harmony PowerPoint is within, and that's saying like it's not in balance, behold. And from there you can approach things from a balanced mindset because you're not fearful and you're not trying to get something that you already are or have. And on my other channel this morning, I did a little chat about how, you know, with accomplishment, for example, it's never the thing. It's your relationship to the thing, and desire for accomplishment can be distorted through these ideas that the accomplishment then says something about the self. So they're ego driven, and that, you know, it's about an idea of the self rather than something external. And again, because all things are God, all things are consciousness, I don't think that it's helpful either to get yourself all tied up and like, oh, I gotta fight the ego. The ego's like, it's the same thing, man. You just accept it, green check it. If your ego really wants to do something, you want to fight your ego, great. You know who's fighting your ego? Your ego. You see what I'm saying? It's shadow boxing. It's fucking nuts when you really zoom out and look at it. And so to transcend the ego, you don't engage it. You don't engage it. If what would be engaging it is the idea that there shouldn't be an ego, which is, hey, wow, it's an idea. So it's just idea on idea, which is again just kind of like this swirly action, and you're not actually going anywhere. Isn't that crazy? And yet, because again, all things are God, all things are consciousness. In your squabbling, if you stay present, this lifetime or maybe another, you'll come to see you need not do that. You can. It's something to do. Is it the most fun that you could have right now? I don't know. And that's why with most of my, well, not most now, I'm very honored and grateful to feel more comfortable, alas, to say, look, what this is really about is the who. And of course, that wasn't in all my stuff written subtly. It operates in my work, but my Shaylee's fear was like, don't tell people that, they'll think you're crazy. I don't care now. I don't care. Because this will be a great segue to the next part of this tool. So the first tool is acceptance, is really understanding more clearly what peace is, where peace comes from, and it comes from acceptance from my vantage point. And then this next one is recognizing where other stuff comes from. So when I said, like, I don't care if you're crazy, if you think I'm crazy. Before, I would have, because my sense of love and acceptance, I derived from what I thought I was getting outside, and I'm gonna underline what I thought, because what's so funny about that is you don't even really know what people are thinking about you. So you might get yourself like all hot and bothered about like, okay, now they think I'm cool because I'm this. They might not. They might not. See how funny that is? Most of the stuff we're doing in our head is absurd. And so what I'm now, at least, I've come to a place of like, I've hit a self-love threshold seemingly where I don't give a fucks. Like what is, like I'm respectful of others. I care about others. I'm not, steamrolling. I'm more saying like, hey, look, if I want to get acceptance, it's not going to come from you. It's going to come from me. If I want to feel love, it's got to come here. If you have a self-love hole, you will not really take in love from the outside because you won't think you deserve it. So being able to really respect myself and value above all else the sensation of being aligned or true to what is true to me, that's like the money spot. That's where we're trying to go, IMHO. And I say that pretty comfortably, like I guess there are variations of experience, and I don't know what I don't know. But what I can say, for me, I very diligently and intensely sought, like the seek, past tense of seek, I sought for probably all my life. I started self-developing in high school. I was reading self-development books, writing exercise plans and stuff for myself in high school, and did that all through college. And then 2015, I started doing more mind stuff. And then in 2016, that's when I like popped the hood on the soul, and I was like, what the fuck's in here? What's reality? Like, I did all that looking for relief, looking for all the like that sensation of like, oh, thank God, like relief. And I thought it would be getting myself together so that I could get the stuff I thought would give it. It was about getting over certain things in the past. Like, I put the target, I taped it on pretty much everything I could find, and I'd get there and I'd be like, oh shit, it's not this either. You know what it is? It's loving yourself. That's it. For me, anyhow. Again, I want to hold the door open for everyone to have their own experience. And if anything that I offer in these broadcasts, I want it to be that. It's not about what I say. It's not about the experience I'm having. It's not what I assert as true or real. All I really want to say is like, baby, you can do the same thing, which is essentially find out what, like, allow for yourself. I don't need to be your expert. I would like to be the expert in knowing that you are your own expert. That's it. That's what I want to offer. And if the sharing of my experience, the sharing of my perspective provides insight that's useful to you, great. But really what I want to say is like, you have access, like you got it, you're good. Thanks. I feel like I'm rapping right now. I should teach the dog how to play the beats on my piano, and then we can sit up here. I won't breathe and he'll hit the beats. Okay. So for today's episode of Let's Be Real, which again, we're looking at perspectives about healing that help you get rid of the shit that you're healing instead of using it to help yourself heal, because this is very circular. If you, the old methodology, the paradigm, what you're healing is really, thank you, is really what you're trying to get rid of. And under all of it is generally this idea that you're not worthy and you're not supported. And then you take that into your healing journey, which makes it like, it stretches it the fuck out, makes it really uncomfortable. If you want to have that experience, maybe that's correct for you. I don't know. In some ways, I guess it was correct for me, because now I can sit up here and say, have a good day. Now I can sit up here and say, like, I wouldn't. You can, but I wouldn't. So maybe I'm saving you some time. But the idea is like, let's be real. What's the point? Well, the point is for you to enjoy your life now. It's not for you to be able to write a book about what your dad did. If you want to, you can. But again, is that really going to offer you the joy, the experience of aliveness, creativity, contribution that you want? Maybe, but maybe not, And so if the Let's Be Real, Let's Be Healed series, it's sort of like, what's the point, man? Well, the point's to be real. It's to be here as yourself freely. expressing without fear, in truth, like as you are. And so the first tool I talked about today was peace. And what is peace? Peace is acceptance. Acceptance is essentially a silent mind, non-judgment, non-resistance to what is. And again, what is can be an external set of circumstances in the past, in the present, or the future. It's a neutral event. It might not feel neutral, and that's why you can then use acceptance on your inner experience. If you don't feel neutral about it, you can feel neutral about not feeling neutral. You can feel okay about feeling mad. Someone texted me yesterday and asked if I've done any content on being mad. To be honest, I'm pretty new at being able to tap into being mad and angry. I love it. I love it. I never thought I'd be so excited to be mad, but man, is that a powerful emotion. And I think that everybody's somewhere different on the spectrum. They're starting somewhere, and it does seem like, again, the middle way is where it's at, where you're able to access that if you need to, but you don't default there. So it's being able to have it on your tool belt, but that not being like your main. It's not like for everything. It's like, oh, where's my hammer? If it calls for a hammer, you have it. And to me, anger is really like a mobilizing energy where it's like, oh, fuck no. And that doesn't mean you're not spiritual. It doesn't mean you're not compassionate. It just means that your being is like, let's move. And so what I was saying is peace is being at peace with whatever experience you're having, external or internal. And I suggested adopting that as quickly as you can on your journey because it helps it kind of like regulate faster as far as I can tell. And then the next tool I was talking about was like, if you have love, acceptance inside, if you recognize that the feeling that you're looking for is really one of your own approval, one of alignment with your own truth, then it's so much easier to be true to yourself because you realize anything else doesn't taste as good. It's like you're selling love often to get love, and the exchange rate's not that great. It generally is not. If you're giving up what is correct and feels comfortable or good to you to get it from someone else or in a different set of circumstances, it's somehow less. And so this one of the other ways I was thinking about this before I set up to present was basically we get caught up with getting love from others, getting approval from others. And so here is your natural state, you're cool. And then your mind is like, oh my God, what are they going to think? What are they going to do? Am I making the right choice? Am I supposed to be with them? And so you have the love, you have this state of love, this conscious, this state of being conscious of love, and you give it up trying to figure it out. Isn't that funny? How funny is that? You have it, you start to think, oh, how am I going to get it? Am I good enough? Am I making the right choice? And you give it up. You give up what you got to go get it. And that really is the human experience. And it takes a minute to really come to terms with that because it does require pretty much everything to shift because we have been trained to pursue in a way that we don't have. Rather than being expression of who we are, it's to go get it, to go get who we are. Okay. So I really appreciate everybody coming out this morning. If you are watching on YouTube or on Instagram and this was helpful to you, please, please, please comment. Please like, comment, share, etc. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. I really appreciate that. That helps me know that I'm relevant. It makes me feel good because I was just saying no, don't get your feel good from the outside. It's like yes, and you come to a place of saturation. You don't need it, but it's nice. It's like I don't need it, and yet if I want to stay honest with myself, let's see. Actually, let's unpack this live. Why do I want that? Honestly, why I want that right now is because I just went through a season of kicking my own ass to see what I really thought. And I'm still kind of clarifying. It's like I had my dream in my hand and someone was like, are you sure? And I was like, I don't know. Let me put it down. And I've done that a couple times in my life. And perhaps that's valuable in some ways. And this time, like, it's there, but it's still like a little dusty. So when I get feedback from the outside at this point, even though it's within me, it does make the whole process a little easier. And actually, I'll close on that because I've said on here a few times, like, I love being supported. I think it's so important to have people on the outside to, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think it's so important to have people on the outside, because helping you if you're in a process of like really trying to be and do your best, because you can't see your blind spots. If you could, they wouldn't be your blind spots. And so I love to have like talented and gifted friends. I love to have, you know, people who have different skill sets I bring on. And one of my newest additions to the team is a therapist, and I fucking love it. I think it's so fun. And what she asked me yesterday, oh man, where was I running? We were looking at values. We're doing a value activity. And she asked, do I value independence? And therapy has been really fun and funny for me because I do go so deep and far. And she's like, no, like, we're just going to keep it, like, can you keep it simple though? Like, let's be superficial about it almost. And so, because usually when I'm presented with the word after having unpacked language completely, it's interesting. But anyhow, she asked me about independence, and I was like, well, I don't actually think that's possible anymore, because we're interdependent upon each other, and the idea, like, hyper independence is actually quite unhealthy. So if independence means not codependence, then yes, I think I value independence. But if independence means that you think that you exist, or you attempt to think that, or choose to think that you're operating alone, like, you can't, and you're either codependent negatively, you're either codependent through a negative yield, meaning like you go into codependency, and codependence to me is like you give up, again, that sort of exchange rate where it's like, I won't be true to me to fit this, I'll wear this shoe even though it doesn't really feel good, rather than like do something about it. But anyhow, then that to me is one expression of it. But I'm also going to go out and say, like, there's another expression where it's like, I don't want to be close to people because they're this, there's that. That's like you're so far away, you're actually like codependent in the illusion that other people are bad. It's so crazy. People are so crazy. Our minds are so crazy. So anyhow, all of that was to say, I don't really think people can be independent, except if you mean that they're choosing to be respectful of and aware of their individual system and needs. But that still has to me anyhow, it still needs to be honored as it pertains to the dynamic that the person finds themselves in. Like, you cannot be independent. You can't. You turn the lights on today, you are dependent on somebody. You're dependent on, like, you drive on the road, like, you can't go anywhere without anybody else here. That's the gist of it. Unless you live out in the woods, and even then, like, I don't know. Okay, thank you everybody for coming out, for your participation. Thanks for the feedback, Shauna. I appreciate it. Love you special. Okay, everybody have a beautiful day. Thank you.